So we opened in Halcyon September of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Days all run together these days. Yeah, September 26th, 2019.
Oh, nice. So a little over a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little over a year. Cool. So I did a little bit of research, and I saw that this location or this brand started in New York in like 2010. So how did you come to know Pop Bar and want to like join the franchise?
My husband Jamal and I think always knew we wanted to own something. It was just a matter of what. So of course you can do a Subway franchise, you can do a Cheesecake Factory franchise, but I think it's important when you're choosing a franchise to choose something you're passionate about, because this is our life, literally. So we came across it on social media, actually, oddly enough, on Instagram. We have some buddies who own one in Charlotte, Kia and Clarence, also Black business owners, which is awesome. Loved it, fell in love with the pictures, traveled to Charlotte, tasted everything on the menu, legit, birthday party stomach at the end of the day. And then we sat just for 6 or 8 hours and just watched customer interaction. The line was down the street the entire time we were there. And the first thing everybody did, they take the top and go to social media. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So here we are, 2 years later. We also interviewed with the franchise owner. Also very important, make sure you go into business with somebody you align with culturally, as well as ethics, morals, and how they do business. So that ultimately made the decision for us, and here we are.
I love it. Good. So what made you come to this area for South Georgia?
Interesting question. So Atlanta's huge, right? So for those of you outside of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta is ridiculous. I mean, it's tiny towns inside of the big town. We looked at Lenox. We looked at the Battery. We also looked at some shops outside of Lenox. Everything fell through. So of course, when you're on that journey, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, what in the world? Also looked at this. But ultimately, we ended up at Halcyon. We have a wonderful commercial broker, very important also when you're navigating the landscape of finding your location, who understands Atlanta at a deeper level. Sean Weinstock, outstanding fellow. So he's like, hey, I know you want to be in the city. I get it, you want to be inside the perimeter, but I've got a good spot, let's at least go look at it. Fell in love with the team, fell in love with the area. And one thing that you've got to understand about Pop Bar is most desserts are impulsive, right? Like nobody's leaving their house, oh, I'm gonna set out to go to the Pop Bar. But they will go see a movie, they will go to have dinner, and then they will come by here. And so the foot traffic at Halcyon is what we needed as well. So here we are. Absolutely. So the case that you see here, this is our winter case, because of course when it's 41 degrees outside, the percentage of customers who are getting pops is a little bit smaller. When it's 99 degrees outside, the case is filled from front to back with pops. We've got 4 different things now that we do at Pop Bar. We do classic gelato, yogurt, sorbet, and what I'm most excited about is our vegan gelato. So we are continuing to expand on all of our vegan options, which is a huge subset of people, not only in Atlanta, but in America. And what makes it cool happens here. So you've got 5 different chocolates, more than 10 different toppings. So you can really create the flavor profile that you like. So it gets dipped and topped. So we'll use today one of our chocolate medium pops. It's just like a regular chocolate pop. But this has our sorbet base in it and a dark chocolate, so again, no dairy. We're going to dip it into our vegan dark chocolate, and then we're going to top it in our vegan chocolate sprinkles. So really, everybody can have something at Pop Bar, which is really, really nice. Yeah, so many kids who come in with, you know, dairy allergies, and there you go. The chocolate is a flash chocolate, because people are always like, oh my gosh, how did that stick on there? It's a flash chocolate. And they're like, how did you do that? So when it hits the air, it's going to grab the temperature of the air and harden really quickly, and then your topping goes right on. I love that. And then we freeze again, so it doesn't make a mess on you on your way out the door. Nice. Wow. And so how long do you let it freeze after you dip it in the topping? Depends on the outdoor temperature and the temperature in this lobby. So when it's 100 degrees outside and the door is open, you can stay a little bit longer because it's usually hot in here.
Yeah.
But today, and I always tell people, this is really perfect pop eating weather because it's not going to start dripping on you.
Yes.
And then a couple things we've altered is it goes into, you know, a tray. So when you're eating it, the last thing you want is stuff all over your clothes.
Right.
But this is perfect pop eating weather. So it goes out the door like that.
Love it. Okay. So you are the only Black-owned POPBAR location in Georgia, the only franchise.
Yes.
And you decided to come to Forsyth County, which historically has had its own dynamic when it comes to race relations.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to come to Forsyth County as a Black-owned business?
Yes. So before me deciding on this location, I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what the history of Forsyth County was. And then we started to do some research.
Mm-hmm.
Okra was legit in Forsyth County in the 90s.
That's
Like,
all I know.
you know, like it was a situation.
Yeah.
And so I think what we were open-minded about is how do we do our part and really spread the message of diversity and inclusion. And so one thing you'll always see, not only in our social media posts, but anytime people talk to me, this POPBAR is a place that everybody can gather. Colors, races, creeds, no matter what your background is, everybody has something to celebrate, and that's what we do. So anybody who comes here, you got to understand who my family and I are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing that I really appreciate about the Halcyon family is that that voice can be magnified. And so this has been, 2020 was a tough year, right? Let's be honest. Not only the pandemic, but just the gaps in racial and social injustice in America, and really the two different Americas that we experience based on skin color. And so I've really been able to leverage my family and our experiences to educate our community, like, hey, just because we own a business, just because I'm college educated, my parents are not college educated, I'm first generation, nobody's exempt, right? If your skin is brown, your experience is different. And I've got 2 brown boys and a 14-year-old brown girl and a brown husband that I want to be alive. You know, no matter what their experience with the police is. And I will tell you guys, we closed our doors, Lord have mercy, at the beginning of the pandemic. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I literally felt like I was losing a kid. We had just opened and now I got to shut the door. And when we reopened in a modified way with curbside service, the faces who did not look like my family, who showed up here every single day, and they said, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be back Wednesday, and I'll be back Thursday. We want you to stay. Our community needs you, and we are not going to let you close. This is legit. I'm quoting people. And then I got invited to be a board member with the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce. And then I'm involved in a restaurant roundtable, and now I'm involved with a huge diversity and inclusion project. And so what we got to do in Forsyth County is we got to put together different actions and steps to be intentional about how I leave Forsyth County better than I found it.
Yeah.
Right? And so Forsyth County has been remarkable as it relates to change.
So where do you see yourself? Because you've been open, let's say, virtual and time existence, so for 2 years. So where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? That'll put you at 5 years.
Oh, goodness gracious. 2 things we're focused on this year.
Okay.
There is a second location that I know is ours. I just don't know yet how.
Okay.
And so the first thing we have to do is stabilize this one. And so from a business perspective, like you guys will kind of see my brain jump back and forth because these businesses, yes, are about faith, yes, are about hard work, but you also have to have business strategy and know-how, right? And that's one thing that I feel like sometimes we lack, right? And so we are really focused on stabilizing this, right? How do we get ourselves to a better financial place? Last year was rough, sales down 30, 35%. And if you think about it, COVID started in my peak season, like March. March to September is like our time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh Lord. So that's the first plan, but there is a second location plan. The third thing is I have portable ice trays. that I would like to leverage around Atlanta without having to spend the money that it takes to do this. And so how do we create other locations without having to do multiple build outs? Because they're beautiful, but they're expensive. And so 5 years for us means this one is stabilized, right? We've successfully moved through COVID. And ideally, as a business owner or a franchise owner, you want your first location to fund your second one. You can't continue to go into the debt that you did with the first one. You won't make it. It'll be so hard for you to, turn a profit that you won't want to continue.
Right. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for a second location. I'm so excited about what we're giving you and what you're going to do with it.
Thank you.
It's going to be phenomenal. So
Thank you.
You'll see us again.
Please, several. Please. I'm sitting at home with all kind of goodies today. You gotta come back. It's a little cold today for Pops, but I got other stuff. Absolutely.
So to enhance your social media platform and people coming continuously, if there's anything for someone to say, like on, let's say, a post, like, oh, hey, come to Pop Bar, what would that be to know?
So I think for us, Instagram's my favorite. So everything is at POPBAR Alpharetta on Facebook and Instagram. TikTok, I'm getting into that. I'm gonna let some of my team do that. I want to pick up one more social media platform to manage, and I'm gonna be 40 in about a month, so that's not really my thing, but I know we got to do it. It's important for me that people share their experience here. And who they brought with them here. So often people come and they're celebrating different things. So we had customers who were celebrating a fertility battle, and she was finally pregnant, right? And so she pulls up and she's like, do you want to tell her what the surprise is? And then her big brother shared that with me, And so for us, it's less about what they consume, it's more about what you're celebrating. It could just be a family outing, could just be I had a really bad day. I had a customer who came in and she had cancer, and the pops were the only thing she tasted. And so it's remarkable the things that people do, and I actually want to start a series called Why Do People Eat Dessert? Because it's a much deeper conversation than I just went by there, because we all consume food and things for different reasons. But for me, the things I want people to share on our social media pages is what brought you here. What are we celebrating? What did we take part in that we didn't even know?
Great question and great answer. I love that.
Thank you.
For sure.